Hello and welcome to another Modswell video. I'm your host Maxwell. In the run up to releasing my giant Skyrim load order filled with new areas, quests and more landmass, I'm going to show off a few of the mods I'm using to expand upon the game. Today I'm going to be showcasing Glamoril Maze of Labyrinthian. This mod adds in a new dungeon and quest filled with bosses, lore and loot. To start this new adventure, simply head over to the Labyrinthian, fight the trolls as usual and then enter Glamoril Maze. This might be tricky to find, but it's just beside the area where the Dragon Priest masks go. Glamoril Maze is in its essence a multi-stage dungeon with all manner of new features. 35 new spells relating to time and space magic, 3 new dungeons, 5 boss fights with 3 having multiple stages, an Elder Scroll to empower your new spells, a new armor piece with a unique ability, a new powerful sword and staff with interesting effects, 2 new perk trees that work independently of your standard perks and therefore won't interfere with your perk tree edits such as Ordinator. These trees are all about getting the best out of the new spells. There is more on offer, but I wanted to leave a few surprises up to you. It's fair to say that this is a feature-rich new dungeon filled with multiple reasons to explore and test out. But let's take a look at the reality of the dungeon. The rewards and features speak for themselves, but with anything like this, you have to know if it's worth your time, especially as it's going to set you back 146.4 megabytes. The stats are only one part of the story, so let's talk about the rest. When it comes to level design, it fluctuates between bland and excellent. The maze being a focal point of the mod is cool in concept, but it's let down by the fact that there are no wrong turns to take. It's less of a maze and more of a skinny, twisty-turny corridor. I was also disappointed by the combat in that section as it was extremely repetitive. Shockingly, when the mod steps away from that design, the dungeon actually improves drastically. Sure, it looks closer to vanilla in style after that point, but in doing so it allows the other parts of the mod to stand out. The mechanics involved and the puzzles are some of the best in game. Tricky enough to make you think, but not so confusing that it leaves you aggravated. It finds a perfect balance. There are moments that will leave you wondering why Bethesda didn't implement these scenarios themselves. There's a level of effortless brilliance that comes with how the puzzles are implemented. Another bonus is the deeper into the dungeon you go, the better the enemies are. They will act differently, perform better than the vanilla versions of the same thing, and come at you in steadily larger numbers. The entire mod feels like the further into it the authors got, the more they learned and pushed their skills. Nowhere is this more epitomised than in the boss fights, the earliest of which is a bland scuffle with a Daedra in an arena that was devoid of all design. The main boss fight, though, is a multi-stage battle against a powerful mage. This battle comes complete with interesting mechanics and custom assets. Well, maybe edited assets are more accurate, but the point still stands. It gives you everything you want in a boss. Once all is said and done, the endgame has a lot to offer too. A new area which will allow for repeat battles against bosses in the dungeon, as well as a few extra fun gimmicks. The rewards from fighting in the arena are what you use to forge new spells, weapons and upgrade the new perk trees, which are only located in the end area. And speaking of, I'll just briefly go over how this new system works. In essence, you enter the arena to win years. Each year can translate into one of two things. You either convert them into crafting materials that allow you to make new spells, the sword or the staff. Alternatively, keep the years and go through the portal to where you'll find 2 standing stones, but they're unlike normal standing stones and rather a representation of your new perk trees. These work similarly to any perk tree, however you're spending years instead of perk points to unlock the new skills and bonuses that specifically relate to the new additions. One stone is for time magic and the other for space. This makes the slightly repetitive grind in the arena feel far more worthwhile. But beyond all this, the endgame still offers you one last gift. A brand new player house, and it's a really tidy one too, with all the crafting you'll need, more storage than you can shake a stick at, and in a perfectly manageable layout. As far as house designs go, this is actually one of the best I've ever seen. It's not pointlessly large and instead makes use of the smaller space it's in extremely well. I'd actually like to see this as a separate file, so it could fit into any order. But really, that's all there is to it. So at 146 megabytes, the hard question is how worthwhile is this mod? It adds roughly 2 to 4 hours of playtime to Skyrim, tons of new tricks to take into the world, and a largely enjoyable dungeon. I'd say there is plenty to enjoy here. If you haven't played it before, it's definitely worth it. If you have 150 megabytes left and you're not sure what to do with it, I'd say don't overlook this mod. Overall, the replayability isn't going to be huge compared to some of the other new quest mods such as Worm's Tooth, which have a bit more on offer, but overall I did really enjoy this mod. It has a topsy-turvy nature with a few surprises, and I can't stress this enough, some of the best mechanics and puzzles I've come across. I'd also like to mention that for far cheaper you can actually get the spells as a standalone file, but in my opinion the sword and staff are what steal the show for me. I'd love to see those and the house available with standalone mods. But that's kind of the overlying nature of this mod. It fluctuates heavily between some of the best work I've seen and some parts that could do with being expanded upon. As a sum of the whole, I'd give this mod a fairly solid 6.5 or 7 out of 10. But I'd give individual parts in it, such as the creativity, the weapons and spells, the armors and a few of those boss fights, all 10 out of 10 without question. Purely because of all of those, I'll be leaving this in my expanded order so you can try it out for yourself and form your own opinions. If you've already played it though, I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment with those below. And on that, I am going to call it. If you have a DLC or quest mod that you'd like me to check out, then please do send a message, either here or over on my Discord. You'll find a link to that and the mod in the description below. If this has helped, I'd really appreciate those likes, comments and of course subscriptions. They let me know that you want more content like this. But either way, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.